Hi Lara, how are you?
Good, thanks, Tony. How are you?
Thanks for coming
Thanks
in.
for having me in.
Lara's been kind enough to come in to give a brief interview and answer some questions on how she found the process with PPA, because Lara's gone right through from the start to handover, and her property's rented really quickly now, and she's happy with that, and we're obviously very happy with that. And I just thought I'd get her in and ask her some questions, bit of a testimonial, and see how she found the process from start to finish. So thank you for that.
Thanks, Tony.
Are you happy to answer questions?
Of course.
All right. We'll start with how'd you find out about PPA?
I found out about PPA when I went into my mortgage broker, David at Trilogy, and whilst I was in there discussing how much equity I had and how much I could borrow, my partner asked about defence housing properties. Dave gave us a brief overview about how they were generally a bit more expensive, that property management fees were probably double the amount, also with the location of the defence housing, it might just be suitable for other defence housing properties, like it might not have growth in the area at that particular location. He also, in terms of buying, say, a place in Canberra, obviously I couldn't have afforded to buy it something.
Yeah, that'd be a lot more expensive than what you paid.
Yeah. And so he sort of gave us a brief rundown, about the depreciation schedule, that sort of thing, and suggested that maybe looking outside of Canberra would be a better option.
Yeah, and for those that don't know, Dave's from Trilogy Funding, a very good specialist brokerage company who do a lot of investing funding in Canberra and also to other clients around Australia. Your broker that referred you to us, which was great. So yeah, look, on that point with defence housing, there are some issues with why he may not have recommended them to be your best choice. And one is the high management, as I think you mentioned. High management costs is about double or over double, in some cases more than the average property management company would charge you. They do the maintenance and replace carpets and repaint at the end, but you more than pay after 10 years, but you more than pay for that. You more than pay for that. And one reason he was probably concerned about the capital growth potential is a lot of the time they're putting a lot of houses in the same street, all investment houses, and those people know that they don't really have to look after them as well as they could. It diminishes your capital growth potential when you don't have owner-occupiers around you spending a lot more money than the investors would to be there and really looking after those properties. So the potential can be a lot higher when you invest in a new property where there's a lot of owner-occupiers around you. Not always the case with defence housing. I'm not saying they always build streets of them, but it is the case sometimes, and it can diminish your capital growth potential. And also your cash flow from rent can be higher with, houses around you worth a lot more money. People were prepared to pay more money for those properties to rent. So yeah, good point. So why did you then choose to go with PPA once you came in and saw us?
Well, I met with you.
Yes, you did.
One day after work in this very room.
Yes, it was in this room, funnily enough.
And you were very passionate.
I am.
About
I love helping people.
Yep. About building your property portfolio towards down in the future, like for retirement, so that you'd have enough to retire on.
Yeah.
On that note, I had very limited superannuation, below the 3 figures.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you're not unlike a lot of Australians, believe it or not, around your age.
Yeah. And so Tony sat me down and explained that, this is more or less how many properties you would need to
we did a workshop, didn't we? We did a financial independence breakdown analysis where we establish where you're at now, where you want to be in 5, 10, 15 years time, and then we work backwards to find out, well, what would be the best property to start with for the income or the investment funds you can afford and your borrowing capacity, and what we could accelerate and actually do better with and build that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
During my much needed lesson from Tony, he also sort of spoke about the clock and where
Yeah.
properties were in terms of whether they were going to, what's the word? Can you
Well,
explain this better than
no,
I?
I will. It's a property clock. So we look at different locations around the country and where they are in the property clock, whether they're on the up cycle, so they're growing in value, or whether they're on the down cycle, they're decreasing in value. In other words, Sydney and Melbourne right now that are starting to come off, and you certainly wouldn't or shouldn't be investing there. So we talked about where these areas are that are starting to come into a strong growth cycle and why that is the case. Yeah, so that's what you're talking about.
Yeah, a few other things. Tony explained to me about the matrix that they do on each property area and how it has to be above 70.
Yeah, it needs to be
70%.
above, well done.
Yes, thank you.
Good memory. It needs to be above 70 out of 100, right? Which most areas, and this is demographic locations, you know, and it may be from one side of the road to the other, will have a different point score based on services, amenities, lifestyle, employment, population growth, vacancy rates, developer spending, government spending. There's a lot in it, and we score on all that, and it needs to score over 70 out of 100. And unfortunately, over 70% of areas we look at don't score high enough for us to recommend to clients and for indeed us to build or to have our builders that we partner with build for our clients.
And who has time to do that sort of research?
Absolutely.
Not me.
It's a big job, and look, people don't know where to start. They don't have the experience, the expertise. So yeah, look, it's just something we think we have to do to tick all the boxes. And a lot of companies, unfortunately, don't do that research. They just believe stuff that comes across their desk. And, you know, a lot of the time it just doesn't stack up on the ground. We never recommend anything we haven't seen on the ground. So yeah, good point. And thanks for raising that. Something else, I'll just finish off by saying something else we would have educated you on is an example of a financial independent breakdown analysis. And this is just an example of, given what you might be able to afford, what does that look like from the cost to purchase to the cost to hold through things like holding costs, water rates, insurance, interest charged against rent, how much the rent return would be, and what maybe the likely depreciation might be. We're not accountants. We don't say we are, and we encourage people to get that sort of advice. But generally speaking, what's it likely to be? You know, the bottom line. So you get an idea before you ever look at property of where you might be at the end of that with a general example. So I find that's always really good for clients. Did you find that was really good?
Excellent, yeah.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. So how did you find, so then you decided to go ahead, right? We sat down and we went through property options, we went through the due diligence and the research and the stuff that we go right into with clients to make sure that they're educated, they're knowledgeable, they're making an independent decision, but an astute decision, right? Based on numbers and research. So after you decided, yep, I want to go with this, I can understand that's a good option, a good choice. How'd you find the process? Through the administration, right, initially with contracts, and then through the build process, because we project manage it right through to the end. How'd you find the process working with us?
Yeah, it was a great process. Yourself and your team were excellent. So it started with the land, put down $1,000 holding deposit.
Yeah, in your case it was, yeah.
Yep, and then we sort of went from there. I said to Tony, I said, you're really going to have to hold my hand on this because I've never bought a piece of land and built something on it. Like, I'm a total newbie, I've got no idea. And Tony and his team certainly held my hand and went well beyond my expectations. I didn't even have to think, it was stress-free.
Yeah, well, that's what we want.
Yep.
That's what we want for clients. I
Yep.
mean, you guys, we want you to do what you normally do in life and not worry about this stuff that you don't have the experience and expertise in. That's our job. And incidentally, we don't charge for this. We project manage the whole thing. We make a small percentage from the build, and that's all we really need, right? And the builder pays us that because we do a lot of their work for them. We don't really run it like large commissions like a lot of companies out there do. I must say, I must stress that. So we're not about a huge financial gain. We're about the right outcome for the client, and then because clients come back and they repeat, they refer. We don't have to chase big commissions, so we don't do it. We want it to be, I suppose, as cost effective for the client as possible to maximise the outcome. So I wanted to point that out because a lot of people don't understand that. They get a bit lost there. So you found the process great. And what about the build? Were you happy with the build process? Like I do video virtual walkthroughs and explain where the build's up to a few times. And I think with yours it was right at the start at the slab, but then I did one at fix out, I believe. So how did you find the process that way? And did you get good reports back and photos?
Really, yeah. Tony even sent me a picture of the slab. But Tony goes, it was just a slab and it wasn't a very good picture. And I'm like, yeah, but it made it real, the whole thing, getting these photos and these updates and where everything was at, it was really good. Yeah,
no, that's great. You probably got more excited the second one when the kitchen was going in and I was taking a walk through the house as I do and explaining exactly what's going on. So you just feel more comfortable and peace of mind that, it looks great. And I know Tony knows what he's looking at, being a builder. So the feedback he's giving me, is obviously experienced and makes a lot of sense, I'd imagine. Probably help you feel good.
Well, it wasn't just a video, it was the audio as well.
Well, that's right. So video like we're doing right now. Yeah.
Pretty much.
And look, we look at a lot of houses under construction, not just yours, when we go and look at houses. So there's houses with the same builder at different levels. So we're looking at their workmanship throughout and reporting to different clients. So we know exactly what's going on and we want to make sure that they stick to the contract, which is always fixed price, full turnkey, which is really important.
Yeah.
I mean, the admin process is really important though, and the project management throughout, Lara, because we really want to tick all those boxes to get the highest and most successful outcome for you. So I'm glad you enjoyed the process throughout admin and project management and the videos. That's great to hear. So my second last question is, how did you find the outcome as far as rent and that goes? Was it successful? Were you happy with what it rented for and the handover process?
Yeah, I was definitely happy. Thanks, Tony. Even before we got to the handover, I pretty much followed Tony's advice with everything from the decor to the real estate agent. So Tony sent me, I think it was 4 or 5 colour choices.
Colour choices, internal and external. You get about 4 or 5 choices.
And I was like, I'm thinking this one or this other one because grey's in at the moment. What do you reckon, Tony? And Tony goes, no, this is the one you should pick because X, Y, and Z. The main thing I remember is that it won't date, and also the carpet was darker, so it would show up less stains.
Correct, yeah.
That sort of thing.
And it was neutral colours and more earthy tones I like to promote to clients, so it doesn't date and it still looks good in 5 or 10 years.
Yeah. And the real estate agent was great. She styled the property, the photos, and it looked amazing. So between handover and the property getting rented was 5 days.
Yeah, really quick, and that's a great outcome.
Yeah, I was stoked, really stoked. So that was all awesome. The property that I bought, I'm calling it property, but the land and the house was about $396,000, and the property rented for $420 per week.
Yeah, that's a great outcome because that's well over 5% yield. And we always look at 5% as a good return. That's well over 5% yield, and it rented straight away. So we obviously got the location right, we got the price right, because that tells us that in feedback. So that's great for us. And of course, you are in a great location, surrounded by a lot of owner occupiers, because it's not so good to be where there's too many investors. You're very close to where they're building a new shopping centre, a new school, new recreation area. There's a childcare nearby. There's a new playground. I mean, those services and amenities are really important, and you're in a master plan development by Stocklands, and they've spent a lot of money on new infrastructure, and they're continuing to do that and that'll drive families there that are building bigger and better homes than you. So that'll help increase your capital growth and your rent return as well. Yeah, so that's fantastic to hear. What about the inspection side of it and handover?
Well, one of Tony's team sent me a list of tick and flick lists
To do at the
to
end.
do, like insurance, depreciation schedule, the final inspection. And I was like, so I emailed her back and I said, do I have to be there? Like, I've never even been to Townsville. Like,
Yeah.
anyway, she goes, oh, no, you don't have to be there unless you want to be there. I went, no, I don't want to be there. I mean, what skills do I have
Yeah.
to pick defects or that
Yeah.
sort of thing? She goes, oh, we've got this company and they do 2 inspections to
They do.
identify defects.
They do, yeah.
They sent the list to the builder, fix this, went back, the list was probably, there was just a couple more items that
Yeah.
hadn't been fixed. So they sent it to the builder and
All good done.
Yeah.
And that's really important. That's a good point. You know, we always recommend an independent company. We pay for it on behalf of the clients to make sure it happens, because it's really important that, well, we think that you get an independent company go in and do a defects list to go over make sure everything meets the contract, that everything's at a really high standard, and even right down to little marks on the wall get fixed. You know, ease and adjust a door lock or something might stick a tiny bit, or a bit of silicone even that needs putting in somewhere like a bathroom or somewhere. It's really important all that gets done, so at handover there's no maintenance, the builder doesn't have to come back, the tenant's happy, the property manager's happy, the landlord's happy, and we're happy. So we've found that process really, really worthwhile, and just put your mind at ease that someone is checking over and above all of us and council that your property's up to scratch and finished to a high standard. Yeah.
So that was awesome.
Fantastic. Look, that's good. And look, you're not alone. We've just rented one. It's just about to rent, and it's not even finished. It's in your area, and it's not even quite at handover. But as I understand it, there's 3 people that want to rent it for around about the same as yours already. So, you know, we have got those demographics right with location and the design that people want. And we do a lot of research to make sure that we get that right. You know, it doesn't just happen. You know, on that note, we put a lot of time and effort into design criteria, inclusions, the size of properties, and what demand is the highest. What type of properties are the highest demand for that location? Might be a 3-bedroom, a 4-bedroom, a dual occupancy, a townhouse, a villa home. What is it? And that's what we'll build. Because it's the beauty of being able to build what, you know, is in most demand. You can gain the highest returns if you know how to do this right. So the last question is, would you recommend us to family and friends?
Oh,
and
definitely.
work colleagues?
Yeah,
and
definitely.
the like?
You made it all so stress-free, and it was really a breeze for someone like me. And I have actually recommended Tony and his team to one of my friends who hasn't listened to me, but that's not unusual. And she's just recently bought another 1-bedroom unit in Greenway.
Yeah, right. Greenway and a unit. Dear oh dear.
Yeah.
Not a great choice.
No, and but you know, I think if she'd taken the time to meet with Tony, you know, had the 1-hour lesson like I did, probably her journey towards, you know,
Retirement or financial independence.
Yeah, would be a different one.
Yeah. Look, and not just stringing our bow, guys, but there's a lot of things we educate clients on when they come in, and we don't change their direction if that's what they really want. We just educate them to know the difference. You know, and the things, why I said, well, that's not a great choice is, not only the price, but the time it takes to finish that project, and will they still be in the same financial position to buy that property, or will they be penalised or have to find more money? The holding costs associated with a unit, especially land tax here in Canberra, but also units not only in Canberra but around Australia at the moment are oversupplied in most cities. So they're not the best option, So a lot of people buy close to home because they feel, that it's easy for them to keep tabs on and look at it like we mentioned earlier. But unfortunately it's a poor decision a lot of the time. When they're educated to know the difference and understand the research, they do make the right choice. But too many Australians don't take the time to do that. and this is a major investment in your future. So
On that note, you know, from how long was it from contracts to handover?
About 5 months.
5 months.
Yeah.
Interestingly enough, she's also for the family home board, a townhouse down in Greenway. It was supposed to be finished in October.
Right.
Then it was supposed to be finished in December.
Last year.
Yeah.
Right.
Then February. Now it's not supposed to be finished till June.
And we're in mid-May, so that's like 6 months delay from when it was supposed to be finished. Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, look, we're really tough on timelines with builders. Like, we only choose the best builders to actually partner up with, as I said earlier, if we're not the ones building. And we do make sure they adhere to timelines and they adhere to the contract, and everything has to be included in the contract.
Yeah.
There's no hidden extras, as I've said before, no pitfalls for the clients to worry about. Really important.
And it's important too because, like, you know, you're paying interest
Oh,
as the
absolutely.
build
Absolutely.
progresses.
You're paying interest on that money, so you can end up paying a lot more, and the outcome quite often is a lot less.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's disappointing, but I really appreciate you know,
Thanks, Tony.
singing our praises to people.
Well, when Tony rang me and asked me if I would come in to do a testimonial, my sort of attitude towards testimonials or feedback is I don't like to give negative feedback to anyone.
Yeah.
But if someone does a great job, I'm always happy to give a testimonial or give positive feedback.
And I'll bet you wouldn't have come in to do a video and put your face on the video if you weren't happy.
No.
You know.
No, I wouldn't be here if I was unhappy.
Yeah, so look, I really appreciate it. And look, this is, you're not unlike a lot of our clients, and we do hold our clients' hand and we do tick the boxes throughout, because you really need to get the best outcome for the client.
Yeah.
So thank you again.
Thanks very much, Tony.
And I'll see you soon when you're ready for your next one.
Oh, definitely.